Hey Station, how's it going? I'm Skylent Shore, an editor here at Free MMO Station, and last year I made a video talking about the top 10 free-to-play games that I played for that year, and I want to do it again. If you guys watch my first impressions, if you watch my other editorials, my videos, you kind of get a little bit of a glimpse of what I do enjoy and what I do not enjoy, and this is going to be the list of the games that I have been enjoying for the longest amount of time over the course of this year, and probably will continue to play to the end or maybe even further on. I think it kind of goes without saying that I do recommend all of these games, at least for you to try. Now I know they're not for everyone, but if you think your tastes kind of align with mine, you're absolutely going to have some fun. So without further ado, these are the 10 games that I spent my life on, essentially, that are free to play over this year of 2015.
FreeMMOStation.com.
And starting off our list, I want to talk about Duelyst. This is a new game very similar to Hearthstone in many aspects, at least its deck building and card aspects, but it does have a playing board. So if you're fans of strategy games like Final Fantasy Tactics, maybe a little bit of XCOM, you might enjoy this game. Just think of it like a tactical board game mixed with Hearthstone. That's pretty much what it is. Duelyst has a fantastic art style, which mixes a little bit of digital painting with some pixel art, and if you saw the first impression, you know how impressed I was with this game, that now I play it every single day. And at number 9, I have to mention Clash of Clans, because I really have been keeping up with it for quite a while now, and I think honestly it's one of the best tower defense games ever made. It's a competitive tower defense game essentially. I know it is a MMO strategy game, I know that it is it's a city builder, but really at its core it's a tower defense and tower offense game. You build up your bases to defend against other players, and then you can even send out your units to attack other people's tower defense cities. It's a really fantastic, probably the single best in the genre, and that's why I kind of play it all the time. Plus, its art style is freaking cute. So yes, this is something that I like to talk about a lot between my friends and even on a lot of videos, and I just do some for fun videos on my personal channel, Skylent Games of Robocraft as well. Because I think it's freaking awesome. I think it's the single best vehicle combat game out there. I really honestly do, at least until some other ones come out. I mean, there are even some somewhat similar games like Gear Up, where you can actually customize your vehicle to such an extent, but Robocraft really, you can't get as much customization in any other game as you can in Robocraft. You really can, block by block, make your own vehicle, and that's why it's just a terrible amount of fun to see some of these crazy, well, Robocrafts. Number 7 on the list is a brand new spanking game called Trove, and when I did my first impression back in the alpha days of it, I was actually really impressed with it. I thought it was a cool, cute game. I thought it was just going to be kind of some simple, casual game to play once, maybe over a weekend, but I was completely wrong. It's actually been updated so significantly that I'm having a huge amount of fun playing it over again with these new classes, with these new biomes, and even the old biomes have been retooled and changed up, and you get so many new items. Plus, you can always have your player-created content always added into the game as well, which I'm finding to be quite hilarious, to be honest. So yeah, you can go check that out on my personal channel as well. Trove is a really good time, and I plan on playing it for quite a while. Now, number 6, we have Skyforge. This is another new game, but this is more in line with the MMOs that you have come to expect. It's a dungeon diver. I feel like it's really more of an online action RPG. There are instances where you can play with lots of people, but it's not like World of Warcraft, where it's one giant, non-instanced area or world where you can just kind of flop around and do whatever you want. I mean, you can just kind of be silly, but for the most part, there's a lot of invisible walls, and you're kind of limited in your exploration. So if that's your thing, maybe go and actually purchase World of Warcraft or Guild Wars 2. But Skyforge, for the most part, is a dungeon diver. It is pretty repetitive, but even though it is so, it's actually one of the better ones out there, and it's got one of the most unique stories and gameplay mechanics that I've ever seen in a game. Like, you literally can become a god. Okay, now starting at our halfway point here, we've got Dungeon Defenders 2, and I think it really does deserve the number 5 slots here. I do play it a lot, but I don't play it as much as the original. However, whenever this game releases, I certainly will be playing it a lot more, but it is in early access right now. You can't play it unless you spend money, so there is that sort of barrier for entry, and right now it's missing a lot of classes that the original had, but overall it seems like it's going to be a really fantastic game. It adds a lot of verticality to the maps, which is really surprising, and there's just a lot of new mechanics to each of the individual classes, since these classes are repeaters from the original, and overall the game looks gorgeous, absolutely amazing, and I can't wait for it to release and see what comes out of this game and its free-to-play market, because I've already spent money. I spent a lot of money on this game already, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, so I want to see it keep growing. And number 4, we have Team Fortress 2. This is a game that I've been playing this for a long time. I've been playing it since I was in Full Sail for video game design. I thought it was just an amazing game, just absolutely amazing game, and now it's really evolved so much. Like, it is such a good game that it just, like, it cannot be beaten down. Now, I think when Overwatch, Gigantic, and those, like, you know, character fighters and shooters come out, I think it's going to be a little bit different. Maybe there's going to be slightly less of a population, but I don't think it's actually ever going to go. I don't think it's ever going to die. I think it's like World of Warcraft. It's going to be around for pretty much forever. And so it's a good game, though, and they're even making it a little bit more competitive, which makes me want to play it more. So there is going to be a bigger competitive scene, and trust me, guys, it's not just all hats. There's a lot of hats, but they got some other cool cosmetics as well. And at number 3 is League of Legends. And before you guys start hating on me in the comments below, yes, I do love MOBAs, but I did not originally start out like that. Like many of you, I had a huge bias towards MOBAs. I hated them. I thought they were just click and then win, or click and lose. I don't know, it seemed all RNG based and such, but the truth is that League of Legends in particular is probably one of the most mechanical games I've ever played, and I'm putting in fighting games as well, and first-person arena shooters. Seriously, League of Legends really is such a good mechanical fighter. It really does sometimes feels like a really good fighter, and if you have not played League of Legends extensively, I kind of want to suggest that you go and play like a couple hundred matches in the game. To be honest, I didn't start having fun until my 100th match. That's when I started learning the mechanics, learning how intense one-on-one fighting is in the team fights. I started learning that League of Legends was actually really explosive and really intense. You have to get past the look of the game, and luckily with the new updates, because the game is looking a little bit sharper, a little bit better, everything is a little bit more crisp and clear, it's easier to see how explosive League is. So thank you very much, Riot, for updating your game, and not only are they updating the graphics to make it look and appear more explosive and more impactful, but the actual gameplay itself. They're turning and tuning some things that would be something like, yeah, the click abilities instead of skill shots, and they're turning them into skill shots, which is fantastic. And number 2 on the list is Smite. Now, last year I played a lot of League of Legends, but this year I'm kind of transitioning into Smite a little bit more. Smite to me hits this really sweet spot of, yes, it's a MOBA, but they also have some really fun game types. Like, I don't have to go in super hardcore and play Smite, even though I am Platinum 4 right now in Ranked. I can actually go and play Arena, or I can play Match of the Day. I can do some really silly, ridiculous things, even if I go and play the normal Conquest, because of the way the game is set up and made and feels, because it's kind of like a third-person shooter. And the way the meta is set up in Smite, they really allow you to break the meta very easily with the way the shop is and how these characters are played. And if you are mechanically intensive, if you are a really good player, you could pretty much build whatever you want and still have fun, which I really find, well, awesome, because I'm a pretty good player, so I can kind of get away with doing some really ridiculous things and end up having a really good time, especially with my friends. My favorite game mode to play with 2 of my friends is Joust, which is a 3v3, and they even have a competitive mode for that. So yes, Smite, with the different game modes, Smite is king, and if for a casual player, or for even a first-time MOBA player, Smite is probably the single best MOBA. And our number 1 is another MOBA, but it is Dota 2. This is like the MOBA, and last year I didn't really play it as much as I really wanted to, and this year I'm really buckling down and I started playing it a lot more. Dota 2 is a game that's really hard to get into. It was my first MOBA technically, but I just like never really got into it because there's so many things to memorize. Like, I mean, you can even kill your own minions, and you can stack jungle camps, and you can even deny your own teammates. Like, there's a lot of weird mechanics in Dota 2 that's just just a lot of memorization. So Dota 2 is really more strategic. You know, there's a whole lot of strategy versus League of Legends, which is a little bit more skill shot based, it's a little bit more mechanical. And yes, guys, I know there's probably going to be a huge fight in the comments that Dota 2 is more mechanical than League of Legends. Whatever, it's just a terminology that we competitive players use to define like skill shot heavy entities in games. Like League of Legends has a lot of skill shots. Okay, anyways, so Dota 2 has some really interesting character designs that I think is really fun. It's more kind of RTS. Like Dota 2 is really less MOBA and really more action RTS. There are a lot of characters where you are controlling multiple characters, multiple illusions, multiple summons, multiple slaves, because you can actually enslave and turn over jungle creeps and use those and use their abilities. Like there's a lot of really cool RTS type characters in Dota 2, which you're not going to get in Smite or League of Legends. There's somewhat-ish, if kind of, characters like that in Heroes of the Storm, but for the most part, Dota 2 is scratching that itch, which I really have right now, because I don't play a normal RTS, I don't really play strategic games, so Dota 2 is kind of my strategic go-to game. Alright, so I just wanted to do some honorable mentions. These are games that I predict to be, very well played before the end of the year here. I think Heroes of the Storm is really growing on me. I play it pretty much consistently. I mean, not as consistently as the games on this list, but I would say it's probably number 11, and it's probably going to go up. It's probably going to replace one of these, maybe even go up even higher with the rest of the MOBAs, I think. But yeah, Heroes of the Storm is pretty cool. At first, I thought it was really simple, but in the end, there is a lot of complexities to the game that you just don't understand until you play it long enough. So it does seem like a dumbed down League of Legends, but in the end it is a totally different beast in itself. Just like how Dota 2 players think League of Legends is a dumbed down Dota. It's not. It's a totally different game, and now I'm starting to understand that, so I'm probably going to play it a little bit more. And for our second and final honorable mention, I have to put Rising Thunder, because Rising Thunder is a really competitive fighting game. It is going to be free to play, and because it is so unique, like how many free to play fighting games do we have? Not that many, especially that are competitive. Right, exactly. So Rising Thunder is something that I predict that I will be playing a lot of. Now, I haven't played too much of it right now, but I got a pretty good taste of it, and I think I will be considering playing it a little bit more. Will it make it on the list next year? That's a good possibility. But I just want to throw it out there and mention it that, yeah, I'm having some fun with it right now. So thank you so much for checking out Free MMO Station's channel, this video in particular, and listening to me talk at your faces, telling you my favorite games. And if you're interested in actually playing with me personally, you can look in the description below and you can see my in-game names. Also, if you want to see more stuff exclusively by me, you can go check out my channel at youtube.com/SkylentGames. But remember to like and subscribe, because Free MMO Station has a lot of informational and incredibly hilarious and fun videos, always going up all the time. Top 10s, first impressions, editorials, just a lot of really good stuff about free-to-play multiplayer games. If you're into that, this is the channel for you, and thanks for staying tuned. See you later, Station.
Still not sick and tired of all the MOBAs yet? Good for you, because the developers of Heroes of New Earth has just announced another one, Strike. This is another free-to-play MOBA, and the studio expects the two games to compete between